Field is under the control of the pole sitter, Rob Haynes and Rod Mitten. Rob and Rod to the green here in the desert. Haynes clear. Mitten gets down in front of Maydew. And Gary will have Will Kirk to his outside as they're too wide most of the way behind them.
Curious to see if this top line is going to be able to hang on speed-wise. Was thinking that maybe it was going to get single file pretty quick, but Rodolasso is going to move out, or excuse me, Mitten's going to move out to the top again, give up that second position in the bottom line.
Zachary Gruber, that's a spin! Oh, hard into the inside wall. That's
straight up the track.
And that is the first caution of the season, and boy, it is a pretty big one.
And disappear. And then when he reappears, I mean, he's turning. Oh boy, he's turning Moser before he even reappears on the racing surface. So probably was hard for Tilton to tell where he was, let alone everybody else to tell where he was either. There's Moser straight up the racetrack, bouncing off the wall, gets into Heath Smith, pushes Smith up into Schulte, Milfelt, Hamby. There's that big shot for Hamby as well.
So pit stops, getting ready to get going. Oh, contact behind! Is everybody slowing down? One truck across there.
Right at entrance to pit road as well. Gibson tried to avoid, went up the racetrack. Mitten's going to get turned sideways. Oh, and you were right. The 43 was parked across and made massive contact with the 43 Mitten did, but Mitten was kind of already headed around as well.
Without the caution, the battle lines are drawn.
A couple of tandems up front here now. You got Greg and Gibson in the 18 and the 19, and then Haynes and Maydew behind them by over half a second. Wow, Rod Mitten not really giving any room to the leaders here.
Yeah, something tells me Rod is not happy about the contact on pit road earlier. That's just a guess, though. And boy, that really got Jacob Gibson all out of sorts. Pass for second may be inevitable, but it was certainly helped along there. And unfortunately for Brendan Gregg, his line of defense was going to be Jacob Gibson. That pass happened so quick that now Rob Haynes is looking to go to the lead.
Yeah, Haynes is on a rocket ship right now.
White flag. Gregg is backing up to Gibson.
Oh, Gibson going to try to get underneath. Wasn't able to.
That moves Gregg up the track. Haynes going to come up to defend. Photo finish here last season. We may be in for another one. Gregg looking to the outside. Looking to get a run somewhere. But the run is not going to materialize. Rob Haynes is going to take his first win with Max V.
A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The Dungeon Labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
An empty plastic bottle would give you 50 cents. A soda can, 60 cents. A used food container, 80. Wondering why I know this? Because that's my job. I am a trash picker at my school.
Harry, the Trash Prince is on a roll today. And how was your trashy affair with Bella coming? She lets you kiss her with that stink?
Their words don't bother me. They don't know why I do what I do. And my secret. I edge close to my class when I hear Bella and her friend talking.
You can't be serious, Bella. You want me to break up with him for you?
I would do it myself if his poverty didn't give me the creeps.
You are unbelievable.
I come face to face with Bella's friend. She knew I heard the conversation and couldn't meet my eyes. She hands me the new phone I bought for Bella and walks away. I saved for months to buy her this phone. I walk down the empty corridor with a heavy heart, pick the phone out of the box, slip my SIM in, and switch it on. When... Harry Parker, you have passed the poverty test? You are now the heir to Parker family's billions worth of assets?
If Harry is a billionaire, why does he work as a trash picker? What is his big secret? Why did he not reveal his billionaire status to Bella? To know more, listen to the audio series Destiny Reloaded, only on Pocket FM.
And now, our feature presentation. Welcome one and all to Turn 200's coverage of the Maximum Velocity CNC Home Designs Truck Series, round number 4 of the 2024 season. Tonight, it's at the 1 Mile Desert Biome of Phoenix Raceway. Boy, oh boy, we're going to have some hallucinations on track here tonight. It is a blistering day in the sim around Phoenix. Going to be interesting to see what these drivers have to try and tame the Phoenix Raceway tonight. It's Tommy Cook. It's Matt Williamson hanging out with you. We are off to a hot start off of Phoenix Raceway. The first 3 races this season have been electric. Tonight could be much of the same, especially given the conditions today.
Yeah, I think, obviously this first stretch of races has just been unbelievable. I don't know if we're going to be able to just top a stretch of races that we've had to kick off this season, but, if they're going to keep going that way, we are in for a real special long season here for the Maximum Velocity CNC Home Designs Truck Series. And, very hot track temperatures here. With the dogleg is open. It's a new configuration of Phoenix, and there is plenty of room for the drivers to get their elbows out, that's for sure.
Well, an interesting development, Justin Michael, who won here last season, was on his first qualifying lap and just spun out. Track temperature, I think, is hovering around 130 degrees. It continues to climb. Matt will have the exact number here before too much longer. But speaking of exact numbers, why don't we put a lot of them up on the screen and show you the points through 3 races.
But taking a look at the points after the massive win for Rob Haynes, he's moved himself up to the top spot in the points with 102. Charlie Widener just 3 points behind with Brad Slagle, Michael Milfelt, and Johnny Hamby rounding out your top 5. Now you'll notice a lot of the drivers that were kind of in this top 5 have since moved out. We had quite a few drivers that were not here last week. Heath Smith and Ryan McRoberts are tied for 6th here. Or excuse me, Heath Smith and Johnny Hamby are tied for 5th. Ryan McRoberts sits in 7th. Justin Michael, who was absent, still in the top 10 here. He sits in 8th. And 9th and 10th is Matt Montenbalt and Willie Evernham. So some of those drivers that were not here have a little bit of a hole to dig themselves out of. But I think the big story is Rob Haynes getting that first win has catapulted himself to the top step in the championship right now.
Let's see if we could sneak in a word with one of the favorites here on Turn 200. Let's see if we can get a quick word in with Scott Patton. Booth 200, you got a copy?
Hey, I got you guys. What's up?
Not much of anything. Just getting ready to go racing here at Phoenix. Now, you're one of the favorites when we get to the 1 milers. A little bit of extra curvature around this track than than New Hampshire, but it is a red hot mama here today. I know the overall goal is to survive, I'm sure, but are there actually steps that you can take to assist in reaching that goal, or is it just try and hang on here?
There are certainly steps and a method to it. I just don't know what they are right now. So we're just going to drop the flag, I guess, and kind of play it by ear. We got stage breaks tonight to worry about, so another kind of factor. And I haven't been in a race with calculated stage breaks in quite a while, so nor have I raced in quite a while. I think literally the last time I was behind the wheel was probably when I was talking to you guys 2 or 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago? I don't know. So a little rusty here, but nonetheless, we're going to take this Luke the Nuke Chevy Silverado to the front here. Hopefully, looks like P3 so far.
I was gonna say.
We're going back. We're going backwards.
Oh no! I was gonna say it's. I mean, as much as I'm sure you're enjoying your personal time away from the sim, got to be hard to get in a rhythm once it's actually time to come here and stay here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I certainly don't feel as comfortable as I normally do. However, we got the 1 mile flat track thing working in our favor. So maybe a couple laps down the road and get the stage behind us, kind of reset, pit, new tires, reformulate our strategy at that point for the long run for the last 2/3. I think we'll be in pretty good shape here.
Well, alrighty, partner, go get him. We'll hopefully talk to you again after the end of this one.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
That is Scott Patton. Yeah, he was P2 when we pulled him up in the booth. Right now, provisionally 4th with just 30 seconds to go. But, yeah, I didn't want to bring up while Scott was in here. This was round number 3 of last season, or rather, round number 2 of last season, and things ended very quickly for driver number 46. But he's always a driver that we watch for on the flat tracks and the 1 milers. This isn't exactly flat, but it is 1 mile. So keep your eye out for Scott Patton here today. If anybody's got a chance, I'd say it's him. Qualifying going to expire here. And how about this? The boss man himself, James Lehman, I believe going to take his first pole post-revival here in Max V truck competition. So nice job to James for taking P1. Outside pole, we talked about the troubles on the opening lap for Justin Michael, but he corrals it and will start on the outside of the front row. Last week's winner, the current points leader, Rob Haynes, off to a great start once again. He qualifies in 3rd with Scott Patton to his outside. Daytona winner Heath Smith looking for a bounce back after an early exit last week at Las Vegas. He starts at 5th. Christopher Howell in P6. Johnny Hamby and Brad Slagle then on row number 4. Mike Milfelt and Charlie Widener on row number 5. It's Doug Heveron and Matt Burkhardt on row 6. Last week's breakout star, Jacob Gibson, walked away with a 3rd place finish at Las Vegas. He starts in 13th. Next to Matt Montembold, who's quietly sneaking his way into the top 10 in points, starting in 14th. Wally Terheimer and Zachary Groover then on row number 8. Ryan McRoberts also in the top 10 in the point standings. He starts back at 17th. First timer tonight, Kyle Manos will line up in 18th, with Riley Tilton and Andrew Schulte all the way back in 20th. 26 drivers here tonight for the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series. All right, Matt, we've been hyping up the temperature. There's a little bit of cloud cover around Phoenix right now, but what are the track conditions and what are the details that we're going to be watching for today?
Yeah, track temperature right now sitting at 129 degrees. We've seen it higher, we've seen it a little bit lower, but if you don't know, that is blistering hot. So tires, tire temperature, tire wear, everything is going to be a problem for the drivers here tonight. It's going to be a handful, and when you get to battling with somebody, it just makes it all that more spicy. I got 120 laps around Phoenix here tonight. 4 extra sets of tires, so that won't be a problem for the drivers. No fast repairs. That's going to possibly come into play here. Fuel window, we're at 70% capacity. We're looking at roughly 50 laps. There is a stage break. That's a change that has happened since the beginning of the season, and if you watched last season, we didn't have those either. So the stage break is going to be at the completion of lap 36. And it will be a caution as well. So not just a stage, it's going to be an actual break. The driver's going to be able to come down pit road and take a pit stop and then get back to it. The rest of the race will be run out all the way to lap 120 or overtime if needed.
Pole sitter James Lehman lagged out of the session, and that's just beyond unfortunate. But hopefully he'll be able to reconnect here. Rob Haynes now will take the pole position with Justin Michael to his outside. "120 laps here at Phoenix, 120 miles to settle it for round number 4. The duel in the desert about to be underway. Green flag. Pit lane start for Will Kirk, who just reconnected to the session. Riley Tilton serving a pass-through penalty after his skirmish last week at Las Vegas. But up front, it's Rob Haynes leading the way across the stripe to put lap number 1 in the books.
We go. Oh, wow, Milfeld!
Oh, boy.
Problem. It's going to be a big accident.
Oh, boy. Widener involved in that as well. I don't know how that wasn't bigger. There were trucks going everywhere.
Milfeld likely with terminal damage there. Widener looks pretty beat as well. Gonna be a pretty lucky break for a couple of drivers that had lagged out of the session. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Milfeld there. I saw him kind of pulled down, and I just thought he was pulling down to cut the dog leg a good amount, but ended up completely sideways.
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot you can hold against these drivers right now with a track temperature north of 130 degrees Fahrenheit. That is just scorching hot.
Go ahead and see if we can take a look. We're going to back it up here. Milfeld's working the bottom here through the final corner. And yeah, he just kind of yanks it to go down through the dogleg, and the truck takes a huge hop when he gets down onto the apron-type surface. It just gets him super loose with that big hop of the truck. Ends up coming up the racetrack, and wow, I thought it was going to be a much bigger incident. To your point, Tommy, I think Widener is really the only other truck that took any sort of damage here. Go ahead, and we're going to back it up through the final turn. Go on board and see if we can tell just how badly that big hop from the racing surface to the apron affected Michael Milfeld here.
Well, I can tell you this much. This is just the stock iRacing setup. Whenever you counter steer that hard into a slide, like you see there with Mike Milfeld, this truck, if you do it hard enough, it can actually flip over, just completely unassisted. Just a huge weight transfer to the left side whenever you counter steer it that hard. So that explains why the right side tires got up in the air there, especially going from a banked surface down to the flat there through the dog leg. That doesn't help matters much either.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it when he got down onto the apron. You saw that adjustment turning to the right to try and keep that truck from sliding a whole bunch, and just a bit of an overcorrection. And yeah, that is all it takes here.
Track temperature still sitting at about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It was at 134 in qualifying, and I'm trying to run through my Rolodex of numbers that never stops going in my head. I can't think of a time, either as a driver or as a broadcaster, that we've ever had a track temperature that high.
I know that we have, but to be honest, I think every time we've had it, it's been in this series. These folks love those hot track temperatures. That makes it very difficult for the drivers. I mean, obviously, a high strength of field league we have here. They all feel like, they like the challenges, and jacking that track temperature up is certainly a challenge for the drivers, and you're going to quickly be able to figure out who's able to conserve some tire and just keep them underneath of them at all here, especially Phoenix, it's a very fast mile-long track. It's a tricky beast.
I felt bad one time because I put a track temperature of 114 at Watkins Glen, and we're way hotter than that right now. Well, Rob Haynes at the front of this field says he's not one of the top dogs in this league while he was in victory lane last week. I mean, has qualified in the top three races in a row, including the pole and the win last week. A third place start that ended up being a pole position after James Lehman disconnected. I'd say Rob Haynes is here to stay, but we'll see how this race unfolds. Still a long way to go. We're coming to put lap number 7 up on the board. Good restart. Justin Michael, haven't really had an opportunity to talk about him yet. He won this race last season as there's nearly contact behind those two. Heath Smith got turned there by Christopher Howell. It was awfully close.
Behind them, 2x2. Wow, looked like Gibson nearly got into the back of Burkhart. Had to check up pretty big time there.
Brad Slagle moves up into 7th, still fanning out through the dogleg. And here we go for the lead. Michael looking to get the getting while the getting's good. Howell trying to launch a bid here around the outside in 3 and 4.
Michael,
which is where Haynes is trying to defend from.
Michael decides to use the dogleg, was not able to get out in front through the dogleg. Might have an opportunity to slide up in front. It was awfully close. Looked like maybe
it wasn't
a bit of
close.
Contact.
It just was.
And those two
either way you
loud.
slice it, Michael takes the top spot. And yes, you're right, Scott Patton is here, challenging for second.
Rob Haynes, one of the only drivers not taking that dog leg that's in the top 10. Most of the other drivers still are at this point. Scott Patton able to get out in front. Haynes moves back to 3rd.
Patton parked it on entry there into 1. Haynes had to roll out of it big time. It's going to allow Christopher Howell now to close in. Sort of a helpless feeling when you're running the middle, knowing that Patton could either be right on your door to your inside, or he could be all the way down 8 lanes below you at the inside wall. You don't really know. You just know he's there somewhere.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling because, most other racetracks, if somebody's on your inside, you can hear them right next to you. Here, when they take that dog leg, any noise or indication that they're there just absolutely disappears, and it's a weird feeling for sure. Andrew Schultz is going to move up another spot. Jacob Gibson going backwards from the restart right now. Schultz up 11 spots. I don't know if he didn't qualify or just had an issue in qualifying there, but he's having to work his way through the field. Obviously, a really terrible result for him being caught up in an accident last week at Las Vegas. Looking for a much better week here.
Yeah, it was quite the domino effect of quite literally drivers running into each other that were licking their chops at the fact that the regular front contenders were at the actual Las Vegas and not racing last Thursday. Michael and Patton were not there, so drivers like Schulte and Milfelt and Hamby were looking to take advantage, and they all accordioned into one another on the first caution of the season. So Schulte with some work to do. He was the first driver to not post a qualifying lap, as he seemingly more often than not does.
He's closing in on Burkhart. Burkhart, meanwhile, has really closed it in on Slagle. Volta's going to look to the inside of Burkhart here. Volta takes a spot pretty easy there. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us here tonight. Don't know if we've mentioned you folks. Michelle Kirk and Shelly Mall, Goodleaf Archives, and Jacob Nagy is in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out.
Here goes Schulte on Brad Slagle. Slagle third in the points entering tonight. The Brad Slagle way, having a quiet season, but a really solid one.
You see another huge bounce off the apron there for Slagle.
Yeah.
That makes me uneasy seeing that. As a driver, I do not like to see it.
At least there's some temperature in these tires. Is there too much? I'm sure he doesn't want to try it again to find out.
If there's not right now, there's going to be here very quickly.
Christopher Howell looking for the spot on Rob Haynes. This is to move on to the podium, and I think Rob is going to give him the spot or give him the bumper, one of the two. Maybe both.
Yeah, very close there. Trying to get the power back down. Thought maybe he was looking for a crossover move. Couldn't quite get the tires to stick to the racing surface as well as he wanted to.
So 1 second gap from Michael back to Patton, a 1 second gap back from Patton to Christopher Howell in third. Rob Haynes and Heath Smith right now the top five. And Michael and Patton took the week off last week. Oh, this is only Patton's second start of the season. He missed Daytona as well. Justin Michael in the first two races this season, second and second. I think he's tired of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Atlanta, had a real great shot at that on the final lap, and of course the big melee at Daytona nearly came out victorious, sliding across the grass, just as everybody was across the finish line. It's a side-by-side battle. This is for the 9th position. Gibson has it right now. Burkhart trying to take it back. I think Gibson has gotten through on Burkhart. Here comes Matt Montembault in that 21 as well. That was awful close. Montembault up the racetrack a little bit.
Yeah, Burkhart made a lot of hay early. Started to drop back a bit. Gibson the exact opposite of that. And he had a great long-run pace. A completely different ball game, but great long-run pace last week at Las Vegas. And a great recovery to put himself on the podium in his series debut. And a similar trajectory through the field once again for him. Montembault up into the top 10. That puts Burkhart back to 11th.
And you know, when you start talking about tire save with this high track temperature, I mean, since we've thrown a wrinkle in these races with the stage, I mean, you have to kind of consider how much do I really need to save early on in this race, tire-wise, if we're going to have a caution after lap 36. It's not a full fuel run, so you have to calculate it a little bit differently.
Fall off for the race leader in just 22 laps is just over a second. It's about a second and a tenth for Justin Michael. In fact, it was actually exactly a second and a tenth this last time around.
Oh, looked like Burkhart got himself up into the wall a little bit.
Yeah, I heard it from the chopper cam, so he got a good piece of it, I'd say. Heath Smith started to search around, trying to find a way up to fourth. And Johnny Hamby closed it in behind him.
As Heath Smith tries to move forward here towards Rob Haynes. Let's go ahead and go on board. You can hear just how much they're off throttle, really being careful, tiptoeing their way through that final corner. Haynes, who got to start on the pole after the disconnect from James Lehman, has fallen back to fourth.
Oh!
Oh, wow!
Big save there.
had to make a huge correction.
That had infield care center written all over it. That truck does not like to stay straight at a turn number 2.
And undoubtedly, Haynes feeling the heat there from Smith, felt like he had to get on the gas a little bit sooner than he probably should have. Got that thing yawed way out.
Well, they don't have this kind of heat up in Ontario, I can tell you that much. At least I hope not, for their sake. Yeah, track temp right now back up to 134 degrees. That is just insane.
Goodness.
I mean, once you get past 100, once you get past 125, it's all sort of a drop in the bucket. It's just miserable. But I mean, that is a sore sight for my eyes, rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, with track temperature like that, the patient driver is going to prevail here tonight.
Justin Michael has put 2 seconds between he and his teammate Scott Patton. Again, stage break coming up in less than 10 laps. It'll be our first time running the single stage format in series history. It'll always be the closest lap to the 30% mark of the race.
Whoa, Greg Mall had to make a massive save. Mall has been working his way up through the field. Was right on the back of Matt Montenbault and just about lost it into the wall.
Mall up 10 positions. Schulte is up 13. They're by far the 2 biggest movers of this race. And Willie Evernham, who is also up 10 spots, back in 13th. Maybe starting to feel the effects of pushing that hard and passing that many trucks.
Couple of battles inside the top 5 here. Smith looking to take another one before the stage break. And Johnny Hamby, he's starting to make moves on Rob Haynes as well.
It's Howell in 3rd, Smith in 4th, Haynes in 5th, Hamby in 6th. And Andrew Schulte reeling these 2 in.
Yeah, Schulte, who had to start deep in the field, has had to push that truck pretty heavily here in the first stage. He is going to be very happy that they have stage breaks here tonight.
I think everyone will be. Do some arm circles, shake out those shoulders, and then get back after it. And you mentioned a minute ago as well, James Lehman disconnected after scoring the pole tonight. He has never returned, so it must have been something catastrophic on his end, either equipment failure or some kind of internet outage, because I'm sure James was absolutely thrilled to score the pole tonight. Smith there trying to root Howell up off the bottom. Nearly got the bumper in there. Now we got some doglegging happening.
Yeah, both drivers, I mean, they have little instances where they get an advantage and then they get a little too deep into a corner or get on the throttle just a little too early out of an exit, and they just give that time right back. It's so delicate to battle here in these conditions.
This will be Smith's best look yet. He was all over Howell there through the final turn. Don't hit the apron and wash up. Howell doing his best to play defense here.
Yeah, Howell is trying to squeeze down on that very inside line. He did a good job, but Smith just about got into him.
Behind them, Schulte going around the outside of Johnny Hamby to try and move up to 6th. 2 laps to go in the stage. Pit road is closed, so no pit strategy. Or at least not any legal pit strategy.
Schulte completes that pass on Hamby.
Some more battling for stage points behind them. Montalban, Gibson, and Mall. 2 spots for 3 drivers. And this is the white flag for the stage, Justin Michael. Patton has eked into his advantage a bit, but not enough to pose a threat here on the final lap for the stage win. Justin Michael to complete lap 36, and he will win the first ever stage in the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series at Phoenix. The field is frozen at time of caution, so Patton will be in second, Howell in third, Smith in fourth, Haynes in fifth, Schulte, Hamby, Slagle, Montalbot, and Greg Mall, I believe, made it up to 10th there at the time of the caution. Gibson went from 9th to 11th on the final lap of the stage. And already drivers funneling onto pit road. Quick work here. Not much time to think or strategize. Hope you got your black boxes set. It's time to go. Not often we get to see the field coming down the pit lane under caution here. We'll take it in all its glory.
Yeah, and we don't have to talk about it too much with under caution pit stops here. Looks like Heveron's having a problem getting into his box, and that's what I was going to mention, is that the curvature of pit road here makes it pretty awkward to make a pit stop there under green if your pit stall is right there where that sharp turn happens.
Yeah, this is one of the weirder pit roads for sure. But it hasn't really changed much. It's about the only thing that hasn't changed about Phoenix in the last 10 to 15 years. Hard to believe it's been that long already. Justin Michael winning the race off of pit road. Scott Patton, Christopher Howell, Heath Smith, and Rob Haynes. That's just about the way they came in. Andrew Schulte, Johnny Hamby, Brad Slagle, Matt Montalbot, and Greg Mall.
Will Kirk just making his way down pit road. Went 2 or 3 laps down after trying to connect to the session before the green flag drop, but wasn't able to do so. Oh, and he made some contact there with Charlie Widener on pit road. Not sure, but Will Kirk trying to get some laps back. Is at least 1 lap down. Might be 2 when we...
I believe you were right that he was 3 laps down. He's gotten the 2 lucky dogs on our 2 cautions thus far. So he is back to 1 lap down and in a good position, at least for now, if we have a quick caution, to get himself back onto the lead lap. We have a long green flag run. Will definitely have some work to do to keep himself in that position.
Lights on. Safety truck. We're going to go out here. One more time around. We're going to be back green.
Well, Justin Michael, after taking the lead early from Rob Haynes, looks pretty untouchable here, but we'll see if Scott Patton is still trying to figure out what he's got, and if he has indeed figured out his teammate, Justin Michael.
Well, you mentioned Patton starting to get into that time a little bit there towards the end, right before that stage caution came out. So maybe Patton has something for Michael on the back half of these runs.
And Michael, 1 to conserve usually on the front half. Benefit big time in the middle and back portions of a long green flag run. We'll find out. Some contact there. 3 wide for 5th.
Still
Smith
three
going
wide.
backwards. Schulte in the middle. This is not where you want to be 3 wide on cold tires. That's Hamby on the bottom. They make it through. Others scrubbing the wall.
Yeah, it looked like Smith got up into the wall a little bit. Schulte sends it here on the bottom, trying to clear both. He does.
Michael with the lead. Patton, Howell, Haynes, and Schulte. Hamby fighting Smith.
Smith gets around Johnny Hamby. Oh, looked like we had a problem a little bit farther in the back.
Yep.
Caution is out.
Caution is out for the 40 of Zachary Groover, who has gone around out of turn number 2. It's easy to do here with cold tires. It seems like the second lap is more difficult than the first, especially out of turn number 2.
Yeah, I mean, turn number 2, that's the problem area, whether it's cold tires, premium operating temperature tires, or old tires. I mean, that is just the spot where drivers are going to have problems the most.
So that is caution number 3 on the night, and the second one for incident.
And we'll take a look at the replay. Groover working working behind Turheimer here. Yeah, and the back end of the truck starts coming around very early there. He's trying to get it locked down, trying to save it, but ends up getting into the wall and has to come to a complete stop. That's what brings out the caution. Go inside the truck here with Groover. And he tried to downshift to pound the throttle, get the RPMs up to maybe try and make a save, but just wasn't able to do it. I mean, it is crazy just how much they are off throttle here. I mean, just trying to feather it through that turn too, and I mean, even just trying to feather it, it goes around. That brings out the third caution of the night, the second for incident.
In this race last season was round number 2, so a fairly similar placement in the schedule. Of course, we're following the actual real-life Cup schedule for the most part this season. Regardless, this race last season had the 4th most cautions with 6. Actually ties it with a couple of races. Yeah, we're working caution number 3 already. Not quite to the halfway point. I would imagine as the intensity continues to ramp up through this race that cautions are not going to be hard to come by if last season is anything to go off of.
Yeah, we had a big green flag run there after the first incident to get to the stage, so drivers definitely capable of keeping it underneath of them. But I mean, as this race continues to move along, drivers are going to get they're going to give less room to their competitors. We're just going to put it that way. They're going to ramp up that intensity a little bit, maybe a little bit more relaxed, and knowing that they're going to have a stoppage for a caution at lap 36. I'm sure that they're got their elbows out a little bit more here as we move on to nearing the halfway point.
Well, I think the one thing that drivers are thankful for is that they don't have to endure the cockpit temperatures that the actual drivers would be experiencing with 130-degree track temperature. I would imagine it would be a very similar temperature in the cockpit, if not higher, upwards of 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Everybody enjoying their fans and air conditioning, I'm sure.
The company that makes the cool suits, their stock would certainly skyrocket here if we were actually there, that's for sure.
If we ever get to that point, I think it would be technology going too far. You can see the The pace truck is still on the track. They've waved off the caution, or waved off the restart attempt, rather. We'll do it this time. We mentioned Will Kirk needing a quick caution. I'd say he got it. He's back on the lead lap. So only really technically one driver out of this race. Michael Milfeld caught up in that lap 2 accident. James Lehman won the pole, lagged out of the session before the race started and never rejoined. So one DNF and one DNS thus far out of our 26 drivers who attempted to start this race. But how will this one unfold? Will chaos reign supreme tonight? It'll be lap 48 on the board this time, with Justin Michael in control of the field, trying to fend off his teammate Scott Patton on the outside. Rob Haynes and Christopher Howell, row 2. Andrew Schultz and Heath Smith on row number 3. Outside line didn't get a great start, but Scott Patton going to fall into line. Watch him fan out. All the way down on the flat goes Schultz.
Wow.
Oh! Has to check up hard not to tag Christopher Howell on his way back up.
Oh, no!
That's a problem.
Slagle is completely sideways down the stretch and gets
Montalban
piled
involved.
into.
Yeah. Kerry Cleaver in that one as well. Ay. That's how it can stack up here.
Huge damage for Montalban. Slagle, Cleaver, not too terribly much, but the newcomer, number 11, Kyle Manos, he took a hard lick there.
We were nearly 4 wide at certain points back in the pack there. I'm sure that's where this started.
Looked like Slagle was the first one that got turned around, but couldn't quite tell how it happened. It looks like he was 3 wide, and I don't think he knew it. He came across the nose of Gibson a little bit. I don't think he knew that Gibson was right there. Gibson was 3 wide with him and Montalban basically at that point. Slagle's in the 052. Gibson's in the middle in the Pepsi truck. And Montalban's on the outside there in the 21. As we're coming out of turn 2, I don't know if they got hooked together or Slagle thought he was clear. Either one of them could have been true, but Slagle gets turned right up into the outside wall. Montalban's there, nothing he could do. Contact for Burkhart there as well. Looks like Evernham got a pretty good piece maybe. Then Kyle Manos, he comes in here and makes big contact with Slagle.
No meatballs out of that, but you're right. Some huge shots there. Kerry Cleaver as well.
And was curious if there might be more folks than just those caught up in the incident that would come down pit road. Doesn't really look like it. Looks like most of the field has decided to stay out.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Michael Van. He came down pit road, but everybody else verifiably in that accident. What about that move there for Andrew Schulte? It's something that we haven't seen yet tonight anywhere through the field.
I don't know if I've
I've
ever seen that one at all, to be quite honest. I mean, he was way down there by the inside wall.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you usually see maybe 2 tires off or maybe just right into the inside of that yellow line there. But that's usually out of the sim and saved for Sunday afternoons when the Cup boys roll into town. Schulte really hanging it out there early in that one and makes the pass as well.
Yeah, I mean, he made it work, but Yeah, it was a hairy one for sure.
Well, if you're going to trust anybody to do that, I suppose the series champion would be a good place to start.
That's probably fair.
But I'd say, starting on the outside here on this restart, he'll be hard-pressed to do it again, at least right away, without something going wrong. Michael and Patton still up front. I mean, they are inches apart there. They're riding awfully tight.
Well, Patton, he doesn't want to give up any ground. Michael's trying to push him up the racetrack to get a good launch down on the dogleg.
Yeah, the outside lane has not gotten good restarts. See if they do this time. No, they do not. Jacob Gibson checked up that outside line hard. Smith doesn't get a good go at it, but Patton does. He's still to the outside of the race leader.
That's about the best restart we've seen from the lead truck on the outside. Patton still to the outside of Michael, out of 2 here.
Patton a bit of drift up. Thought he might hit the wall there, but he hangs onto it and still sticking to the right rear quarter panel. Schulte up the track. Door is open for Howell underneath for third. As the top 2 were side by side.
Schulte carried a lot of momentum there. So Schulte is going to edge out in front here into turn 1.
Oh, Patton put the bumper to his teammate. He roughed up Michael, but can't capitalize.
Tried to get Michael loose. Michael was able to hold on, but Patton is not holding back here.
No, he is not. And he sees another teammate rapidly approaching in his mirror. Andrew Schulte arriving on the scene. Different positions, but the same 3 players at the end of the race at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Howell and Haynes, 4th and 5th. Some shade falling over the track and a much-needed respite maybe on the way for these drivers. They're still pushing hard here. How do you get corrupted iRacing files in the middle of a session?
That's a great question.
That is insane.
Maybe Corey Rutherford should check into that. That might be what he has going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, just sticking onto the list of things that we're discovering even before this last update. Well, just as quickly as Schulte pulled up onto the scene here for the top spot, he has started to fall back just a bit, maybe conserving, but either way, he'll have to fend off Christopher Howell to hang on to third. So Michael's got a couple of truck links between he and his teammate Patton, who was really giving him the runaround there for just a second. I thought that was going to get really spicy.
Well, I'm sure Patton really wanted the clean air out front there and knew how important it might be to gain the lead very early on there, but just was not able to get it done.
And Bandit Motorsports, they always race each other hard. They usually have a good time doing it. I don't know if we've ever seen one of them feed another one a bumper, at least not outside of practice or the cool-down lap. That would have been interesting to see.
I'm curious what the number is for these drivers to come down pit road now that we had a couple of cautions come out very quickly. Really didn't run many green flag laps on this set of tires. We ran probably 8 caution laps after they went back green from the stage. May have pushed their window back a little bit here. It'll be interesting to see when these drivers start deciding to come down pit road. We went green on lap 40 or 41. That would tell you that you're just going to split it in half, go to lap 80. But with running almost 10 laps under caution, do you move it back 5 laps? Do you move it back 10 laps? I don't know.
Logistically, the fuel window opens in 10 laps time. to be able to make it to the end, but nobody's looking at logistics. We're all about realistics here. And like you said, with the blistering hot track temperature that we got here and strategy abundant in a normal race in the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series, who knows where these numbers are? I don't even know if the drivers know at this point. Certainly I don't. Sounds like you're on the fence.
I'm very much on the fence. I think it probably depends on the driver. If a driver gets to battling here just like Heath Smith and Johnny Hamby are right now, and they kind of roast their tires, they might have to come in a little bit earlier than some of the others, but it's going to hurt them in the long run.
About 3 laps ago, Scott Patton nudged up into the wall, and he has steadily dropped back to Andrew Schulte ever since then. Gap is still only 0.6 of a second, though, at the line this time. Lap 63 on the board. Smith and Hamby. Smith in 6th, Hamby in 7th. And give a call to Greg Mall as well, back in P8. Slowly but surely is working his way up through the field. 21st starting spot for him. Doing a nice job here.
Good side-by-saddle between Groover and Turheimer. Looks like Turheimer's actually going to make it work underneath there through turn 2.
Good recovery so far for Groover as well, who brought out the caution a couple of times ago.
And Groover fighting right back there. Turheimer was able to clear, but Groover is right back at it.
Groover was another one of the guys that debuted last week and was running pretty decently all night long. I don't think quite got the finish that he was looking for. I think still cracked into the top 10, but it could have been a lot better. Regardless, a good recovery run for him thus far. As all of a sudden, what was almost a 0.7 of a second gap now is just a truck length and a half for Scott Patton. He's coming back to life. And he's brought some friends with him, too. I'm sure much to the delight of Justin Michael.
Yeah, Christopher Howell really starting to close in on Schulte as well. He's definitely closed that gap to get up to a podium position.
Schulte running about half a lane higher than any of the other drivers in the top 4 through 1 and 2, and does it here in 3 and 4 as well. Everybody else, for the most part, trying to hug that yellow line all the way around through the turns and go underneath it here through the dog leg. What is it they say? Keep your friends close and your teammates closer.
I would say in racing, that's probably a good bet.
Well, Patton let Michael check out to the tune of about 2 seconds on the only long green flag run we've had here today. It's about 30 laps. He got out to 2 seconds, but he reeled it back into a 1.5 seconds by the end of the run before the stage break caution.
Well, Patton has not let Michael get out in front by even close to that margin here.
No, never even eclipsed 3/4 of a second.
Whoa, pretty big wiggle out of Patton there. Nearly got up into the wall out of turn 2.
Ooh, Michael right up against it there.
Oh, and Willie Evernham. Looks like he is down pit road. Not sure if something happened or...
He was running back in P16, so maybe just swinging for the fences here. Lap 70, we think, is the number we can look for, again, logistically, to make it to the end. So maybe trying to take a big swing at it. Or maybe hit the wall.
Ryan McRoberts trying to move forward. He had gotten around Turheimer and then had a shot at Groover, but ran up the racetrack, and now Turheimer's back around underneath.
And give a call to Ryan McRoberts as well. He's in the top 10 in points, doing a really nice job. I think at the early portion of this season, he's probably got my vote for most improved. But we'll see.
I mean, he's just done a good job of, keeping the nose clean and running the laps. I mean, hasn't had to do anything crazy. Has just been consistent and, kept out of the incidents up to this point. And for some drivers, that's pretty difficult. But for him, he's made it look easy and has gotten himself quite a few points because of it.
Yeah, if you're long season points racing, this was a track that I would have circled to just finish. Finishing is a good day here. There ain't nothing wrong with just bringing it home and saving your crew a little bit of work for the rest of the week.
Yeah, if you come out of here feeling like you really never got into anything, either a competitor, the wall, anything like that, I think you've had a successful day for sure.
Well, Doug Heveron was closing in on Matt Burkhardt, but he, I think, just had to roll out of it big time to not clobber the wall. So he fades back in P11. Still the closest two that we've got inside the top 15 is Justin Michael and Scott Patton. But again, some distance between Michael and Patton starting to open up.
Patton looking awful loose with the rear end right now. It looks like he's struggling with it a little bit. Schultz is closing in. Christopher Howell struggling with it as well. Howell has backed right up to Rob Haynes.
Oh, here we go. Patton to pit road.
Wow, this seems early.
Well,
Patton on pit road as well.
Patton's usually the first one in or the last one in, and nothing in between.
There's a bunch of drivers in. Gibson, Heveron. I don't know if it's in response to Scott Patton or if this was something that everybody had circled, but this seems awfully early to me.
Lap 76 coming to 77. And that's 4 of the top 10, really 4 of the top 11 in.
I mean, I know we're about halfway in between when the stage, after the stage break when we took the green back, but we had a lot of laps of caution. I mean, we really haven't run that many green flag laps here. So, seems pretty early for me to come down pit road with less than 40 laps, or excuse me, with more than 40 laps to go.
And Justin Michael does one lap. He's not going to answer this time, so it'll at least be 2.
Will Kirk just about looped it out right there at start-finish. And here comes Wally Turheimer.
Wally, the next one in. Nobody came in after that group of 4. Well, Justin Michael, the overcut worked for him at Atlanta, although he did say he was too conservative, I guess technically too aggressive with the saving, if you rather. And that cost him the win in his mind at Atlanta. But the overcut here might get the job done.
I mean, if he came into this, even with the caution laps, just wanting to stick to the game plan, he's probably coming down pit road either now or in the next couple laps. But he may have pushed that window back because of the caution laps we ran. Burkhardt and Will Kirk down pit road.
And Will Kirk, I mean, with the aid of the 4 drivers that pit in front of him, was up in the top 10 after being 3 laps down at one point. But top 10 is on the table here for Will Kirk. So I'm sure he's excited to hear that. So Michael, Schulte, Howell, Haynes, Smith, Hamby, Groover, McRoberts, Widener, and Slagle, the top 10. Dale Paradise and Michael Van, 11th and 12th. And then it's Scott Patton in 13th. The first driver out on fresh tires here. As more drivers coming in this time. Andrew Schultz is one of them. Michael Van in as well. Is this what Justin Michael is going to respond to? Andrew Schulte? Yes, no. Looked like he was slowing down there, but he's just got drivers with faster tires in front of him.
He certainly does.
Or fresher tires.
Yeah.
Rob Haynes in.
And with this, this is a long, slow pit road, and with the curve, it takes you a long time to get around here. So if a caution comes out at an untimely point for you while you're down pit road, it can really get you trapped a lap down, maybe even a couple if you're not careful.
Here comes Justin Michael. He'll surrender the lead to Christopher Howell. No penalties thus far on this green flag cycle.
Still, most of the top 10 has yet to come down pit road. I think it's 8 drivers. But here comes Christopher Howell. Oh, and Howell has to make a huge save right at the line to get down the pit road speed.
And he managed to do it.
Scott Patton just got around Justin Michael. Justin Michael just now coming out of his pit box. That is the advantage that Scott Patton was able to get with the early undercut. I mean, the earliest of anybody on the racetrack.
Here comes Heath Smith now from the lead. He'll surrender the top spot to Johnny Hamby. Yeah, Andrew Schulte will come out in third behind Greg Mall. Mall is 5 seconds behind Scott Patton here. Even with much fresher tires for Schulte and Michael, 5 seconds is a lot. But these fresh tires with this long overcut, at least comparatively to Scott Patton, gonna pay dividends as this one rolls along for sure.
And Johnny Hamby, race leader, down pit road. Zachary Groover should take it over unless he comes as well. And he will not, so Groover's going to take over the lead for now.
Groover, McRoberts, Widener, the ones to stay out.
Tommy, you said it. Scott Patton, he likes to take and make those aggressive strategy moves if he feels like usually it's if he feels like he doesn't have anything for the people in front of him. You know, if he's running third or fourth and just has to take a big stab at it. But, I mean, he was not far off from Justin Michael and still took, I mean, that was a major swing to come down. I think it was lap 76 or 77. I mean, that's a pretty big gap between when him and Michael came down pit road.
Scott's the pros pro. He'll know it better than us, and he's the one driving the truck right now. But you're right. There wasn't any really apparent sign that things are really starting to go south. He had made good progress on Justin Michael, was staying within half a second of him, and then elects to take this seemingly very big swing at a strategy call here to get himself the lead. Maybe just trying to put himself in the driver's seat quite literally as the laps start to tick away. Lap number 90 up on the board. Still waiting for Charlie Widener to pit before Scott Patton will cycle back out to the lead, but he'll be well in control of the field when that does happen.
Patton just got around Widener without Widener coming down pit road, so Patton is to the lead now.
Since Justin Michael has come out of pit road, Andrew Schulte has made up about 0.8 of a second on the race leader. Scott Patton.
Justin Michael made a pass on Greg Mall. Just also got around Slagle. Slagle has not come down pit road yet either. And now Schulte is going to be the next one in front. Gap is about a second.
Lap time for Schulte about 0.4 of a second quicker than Scott Patton last time around. But is there a point in this run where that advantage for Schulte evens out? Meanwhile, Justin Michael, the fastest driver on the track, half a second quicker than Scott Patton.
Charlie Widener still hasn't been down pit road, dropping like a rock right now. There goes Schulte.
.4 seconds and closing. Andrew Schulte, 0.3 of a second, a lap quicker. Justin Michael going faster than that. He's inside of a second of Schulte.
Yeah, Patton, I think, is probably on major conserve mode right now because he knows he came in pretty early. But that gap has come down by about 1.2 seconds in the last 3 laps or so.
I'm sure we got people in the grandstands waving pom-poms, chanting defense, defense, defense. And we'll see it soon enough. But defense is going to be on the menu first, I think, for Andrew Schulte. Justin Michael has caught him. And that's just a 1-lap undercut between those two. I mean, it's a huge tire life differential, almost 10 laps from Michael to Patton.
Yeah, from Michael to Patton, it's an 8-lap difference. I mean, that is massive here.
With the track temp above 120. It's down to 126 right now, but
big shake-up farther back here around 5th. Widener and Mall in the middle of it with Groover. And Slagle was right there in front of him as well, trying to go back through.
And all that has allowed Christopher Howell to sneak up into 5th as they were 3 wide there.
Oh, and Widener still has not come down pit road, by the way.
Incredible.
Last time he came down pit road was on lap 50 after either the first or the second incident after the caution came out. Or, excuse me, after the stage break.
I would imagine he'll be in the next 3 to 8 laps or so, depending on what kind of fuel mileage he got under the cautions. Why not take a swing at it? Widener second in the points coming into tonight, but was pretty down in the running order after being caught up in an accident. Why not take a stab at it?
Michael and Schulte are basically together now.
Where have we seen this before?
The difference is I don't think there's going to be a problem with fuel this time for Patton. It's just a matter of if he's going to have enough life left in those tires at the end of this race.
What does R-Truth say in his song? We're going to ride it till the wheels fall off?
What's up?
Yep. That is what's up. Again, time's starting to stabilize a bit, but still undeniably Schulte and Michael, as they're picking their way through lap traffic here, still a bit faster, and they're just outside of a second behind Scott Patton.
Yeah, and they're starting to have to go through the traffic that Patton has had to deal with here for the last few laps, so maybe giving Patton a little bit of a buffer, but Schulte got through it very easily there. Looks like the 11's going to come down pit road. That's Kyle Manos. The best thing that can happen for Patton right now is for Justin Michael to try and pass Andrew Schulte, and the two of them get in a bit of a heated battle for 2 or 3 laps and allow Patton to kind of at least maintain that lead, but also Schulte and Michael to burn their tires up a little bit more.
Well, right now, they're doing both. They're battling pretty hard, I would say. Jockeying for track position. Michael going to take a peek to the inside, but they are still catching Scott Patton. Charlie Widener finally going to come down pit road here on lap 103. That gets an attaboy from me.
Whoa, Patton had that thing, or excuse me, Michael had that thing sideways. I'm sure everybody has it sideways at this point in the run, but...
And Brad Slagle going to come down and really finish off our pit cycle here. I suppose that'll also get an attaboy. Half a second.
Boy, this is going to get good, huh?
It always does, you know? We're 3 for 3 on absolutely banging finishes here. We're sizing up for another one, coming to 15 laps to go.
Curious how aggressive Patton is going to be, or really how aggressive he can be with such a wide track here. I mean, obviously he can try and take the preferred line away, but there are other ways to get around traffic here.
Above all else, the one surefire way to get around traffic is to use the bumper as Michael's. Wow, that thing had the infield care center written all over it, and he saved it.
Yeah, he's going to lose a bunch of time to Schulte, though.
I was going to say, that is not what Scott Patton wanted to see, because that frees up Schulte to go on the attack. Here's somebody in the wall. Hopefully they keep it moving.
Whoa, and then big wobble there from Kirk as well.
Oh, caution is out! Oh boy, that's the 22 of Heveron down there on the flat. My, oh my.
Oh boy.
The times they are a-changing. Inside of 15 laps to go. Now what?
I would call this a rut row trouble. As you see the leaders dive down pit road. That is the right call.
The two that stayed out there are not on the lead lap. Everybody inside the top 10 is down pit road. Will Kirk is in 11th, and he will get the lucky dog here. The right call.
The right call, no doubt about it on this one. Would love to see somebody outside the top 10 try 2 tires and see how that works out. It's probably a bad idea, but it would be interesting to see from our perspective.
That's just the thing. It's exactly the top 10 drivers that were on the lead lap here. So Will Kirk is going to make it 11 on the lead lap, but everybody from 12th down to 19th, I would imagine, going to be staying out here to take a wave around. Or at least the majority of them, anyway.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay here for Heveron. He's here working the outside. Jacob Gibson, and he loses it before he even gets to the start-finish. Maybe maybe was sliding up the racetrack, trying to maybe keep it out of the wall. He just starts losing it right in the middle of the corner, and he's trying to correct it, and it just keeps going around. And normally I would say caution doesn't need to come out, but when drivers are going all the way down to the wall in the dogleg there, it had to come out.
Well, that one was triggered by iRacing, I do believe. Most of the rest of them have been triggered manually tonight. But that one was on iRacing, and I would agree. It probably needed to come out there anyway. I could envision myself in that position at full tilt, so... Justin Michael hanging back a bit here, as everybody should be getting the wave around here.
Yeah, lots of drivers getting that wave around.
Well, this is interesting. Michael Patton, Schulte Hamby, Haynes Howell, Smith and Mall, Gibson and Burkhart.
And
that's the top 10 here.
I think this benefits a Haynes or a Hamby the most. Drivers that are really great on short runs, maybe not as great saving tire.
It's going to benefit the driver who can make it through the mess the cleanest. Big move there from Patton.
Here goes Schulte.
Here's all the way down, nearly to the inside wall. Here's Patton out of the outside, 3 wide for the race lead. Wheel to wheel, nearly contact there. Patton trying to make it work on the outside through 3 and 4. Michael will prevail on the bottom. But Patton fighting back. Schulte going to swing it down low again.
Wow. What a send by Schulte. Is he going to try it again? No, not this time.
Still has real estate on the bottom here.
Whoa, he's got out. Has to make a huge save, but Haynes is going to get by. Oh, contact farther back. Gibson's in the wall.
Gibson in the wall. Patton to the lead. Michael to second and loose. Straight up the track. Michael going to lose out big time. Scott Patton with the lead.
Haynes and Michael.
Schulte again all the way down to the inside.
Oh, and he's going to stack him up. Haynes through the middle. Schulte into the wall. Caution's out again.
Problems back in the pack.
Wow.
One of the wildest restarts we've ever had here on the channel. And Scott Patton comes out on top of it. Incredible stuff. Wow, we have a lot to look at there. Not even sure where the caution came out from. I did hear some spinning. Doug Heveron is in the pits.
Wow, and it looked like contact between Haynes and Michael shuffled Michael all the way back to 7th. I'm going to see if I can find the incident first. Oh, yeah, looks like it's between Slagle and Terheimer. Slagle up the racetrack, and then... Not sure who that was that had a big checkup, but wasn't able to do it in time. And got into the back of Slagle. Slagle went around right in front of about 5 drivers there. here's the contact between Haynes and Michael. Haynes just sends it here into the final couple of turns. Gets into the back of Justin Michael. Michael might have been loose on his own there, too. Kind of hard to tell. But at any rate, it was an absolute zoo back there. And we're going to re-rack him and do it all over again.
Yeah, this time the heat is turned all the way up to high. Oh, boy.
If this is Hot Ones, we are on the last dab.
Yeah, I think so. That was probably the bomb
Yep.
for Justin Michael.
Yep, I think so.
Well, tonight, through and through, it's definitely been a Scorpion disco. There's no doubt about it. I mean, a revolving door of Bandit Motorsports teammates up front between Haynes, Schulte, Michael, and now the race leader, Scott Patton, who really survived the strategy onslaught quite well. Never gave up the lead outright on the long green flag run after the pit cycle or this restart. Fought tooth and nail to make it work on the outside. Give the assist to Andrew Schulte there, making the crazy moves on the bottom. But I mean, at the end of it all, Patton's the one that has to make that pass and stake his claim up front, and he did it. But now we'll have to do it again with Schulte, Haynes, Howell, Smith, anybody else really that fancies a go here.
Yeah, and with the big dog leg, I mean, anybody that starts in the top, really, maybe 4 rows, as long as they get a good launch off the restart, I mean, they have an opportunity to make up a lot of positions.
Tense moments here, coming to a natural green-white checkered. Patton looking for redemption after Atlanta. Schulte looking for his second win. Haynes as well. Howell looking for his first. Two miles of racing. Are we going to bring it home in one piece? Schulte has space to drop down. Haynes trying to fill the hole, but can't.
Oh! Looked like somebody got pushed up the racetrack.
A straight and 2 turns to see the white flag. Howell and Haynes battling for third. Schulte trying to track down Patton. White flag is out. This is it.
Is Schulte going to send it up the inside like we've seen a couple times here tonight? Looks like he's going for it.
The big send from the reigning champion. Schulte down to the bottom. Patton going to be able to fend it off. Contact behind, battling inside the top 5. But Scott Patton with the strategy win and the race win. Patton takes Phoenix. It's the second post-revival race victory for Scott Patton in the Maximum Velocity CNC Home Designs Truck Series. So many podiums, so many seconds, so many disappointments. But Scott Patton, tonight, no disappointment. No seconds, no thirds. It's P1 time.
And that is a redemption win for Scott Patton as well. Just ran out of fuel in the very last corner of Atlanta. Otherwise would have had that race won. But he's going to get it done here.
Running the Luke the Nuke scheme. And this was a bullseye. He dropped the bomb tonight for sure. What other punts can I make? I guess shout out to O'Reilly Auto Parts here as well. We're finding our way all the way through the barriers and pulling into victory lane.
Yeah.
Can we actually make it in here? Oh my gosh, you can!
I think I might
Did
have
not-
a victory lane camera.
You do.
I do. Look at this. This is spectacular.
Oh, that is beautiful. Well done. Shout out to our great camera provider, Whiplash SimCams. I don't think I have them anywhere on here because we usually don't have them for a Thursday night broadcast. But where else are you going to find that? Didn't even know that was programmed. I figured he was just going to fall through the floor and that was going to be it. But nice job here tonight for Scott Patton, and he taught us something new as well. Let's go ahead and give you the full finishing rundown here. Patton with the win, Schulte in second, Christopher Howell going to wind up on the podium here tonight. We'll talk to all three of these gentlemen momentarily. Rob Haynes, nice job in P4 after the win last week. Heath Smith will round out the top 5. Greg Mall, pretty close to the hard charger. I think Schulte's going to take it, but Mall up 15 positions to 6. Justin Michael, boy, a disappointing backslide there at the end to finish in 7th. Matt Burkhart in 8th. Johnny Hamby in 9th, and Zachary Groover, a great recovery after the early caution for him. He will finish in 10th. Bill Paradise, how about it? A quiet P11 for the 556. Charlie Widener in 12th. Ryan McRoberts in 13th. Kerry Cleaver and Willie Evernham, the 15 drivers who will finish on the lead lap. Wally Terheimer and Will Kirk, 16th and 17th. Michael Van at 18th. Brad Slagle, Jacob Gibson, disappointing P20 for him after being in the top 10 all night long. Kyle Manos, his debut will go down as the 21st place finish. DNF for Doug Heveron down in 22nd. Riley Tilton, same in 23rd. Matt Montalbot in 24th. Michael Milfeld in 25th. And the pole sitter tonight, James Lehman, does not even turn a lap under caution. He will be credited with a 26th place DNS. And speaking of James Lehman, Lehman's Mega Money Mania tonight was determined to go to the 14th place finisher. 14th place is Kerry Cleaver, and he's usually pretty shy on record, but he is the title sponsor of this series, CNC Home Designs. For anybody looking for a custom home built, whether it's modern amenities or just a farmhouse, anywhere in Central Florida, based out of Citrus County, hit up CNC Home Designs, Deb or Kerry Cleaver, and they will get you taken care of. So I don't think we're going to get to talk to Kerry, as he is already split for the night, but figured get that plug in, and it may as well be good. He's getting 5 of his own dollars back anyway, so congrats to him on that. With that out of the way, we'll go ahead and talk to your 3rd place finisher, Christopher Howell, back on the podium. Congratulations to you. Welcome back to the booth.
Yeah, how you guys doing? I hope that was a good race for you guys.
That was pretty thoroughly exciting, not just at the finish, but it seemed like you were in the thick of battles pretty much all evening long with this scorching hot track temperature. I bet you're about beat at this point.
Oh, man, I'm sweating. I didn't run the fan tonight, so I'm feeling the full force of the heat tonight. I'm like drenched, but it was definitely challenging with the track being so hot. It's okay for the first, 10, 15 laps, and then, as the run goes, you wear the tires and the heat, it just starts, you're fighting a loose condition for the most part. So,
I mean, we saw Michael making some interesting moves, Schulte making some absolutely wild moves. Doors opening and closing all around you. How do you pick your spots there in a crazy couple of final restarts?
Yeah, the first restart there at the end, Andrew, he got loose underneath of us, and he collected it up. I was, fortunate enough to get to his outside and throttle it up and come out of there with the 4th because caution came out. And then, again, he came up and right in front of Rob, man. I definitely had a chance to pull 2nd out of there. I just got loose coming out of 2, but I'm not taking anything away from them guys. They deserve it. So it's a great finish, win for Scott, and 2nd for Andrew. I'm just lucky to get up here, get a podium, get some points. So,
Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, congratulations. Lots of hard battling here throughout the night, especially for you. I feel like you were in the middle of pretty much all of it. But, I mean, you kind of had this race got flipped on its head there right at the end. I feel like everybody was kind of concerned about tire wear, and then all of a sudden a caution comes out, and you're going to have a 10-lap shootout to the end. I mean, how do you pull your seatbelts a little bit tighter and kind of buckle down for that one?
Yeah, you just know at that point everybody's pushing, right? Especially the top 5, top 6. We're just going to be pushing as hard as we could. And then, I noticed, like 6th, 7th on back, they couldn't hang with us. They tried, but, we pulled away from them a little bit. And then it got a little dicey there. I don't know what happened to Justin. It looks like he got loose somewhere around the restart zone coming to the line. And I saw a gap open between Rob and Justin. I said, screw it, I'm taking it, and I did, and it worked. I don't know how, but I'm sure that was pretty close to a wreck.
It certainly looked pretty close to a wreck. Second top 10 of the season, first podium. Congrats to you. Anybody you want to shout out or say hi to?
I just want to shout out to my team, Average Joe Motorsports. We had a few other teammates in here tonight. Ryan McRoberts, Brad Slagle, and Zach Gregory. Just want to thank my team. I want to thank the league admins also for putting this race on. I want to thank you two guys for putting on a hell of a broadcast. I love watching your broadcast back. So also, I don't know if it's okay to self-promote here, but
Go for it.
I got a Twitch channel, so please, if you're watching, come and check me out on my Twitch channel. It's Topher Grace 83 is my Twitch channel, and please come hang out and watch me race. So that's all I got, fellas.
Are you the Topher Grace?
Yeah, I am the.
Wow.
I wish I got paid like the Topher Grace.
Well, congrats on all your successes, I guess, in and out of the sim. But congrats on the podium here tonight. Go party hard. We'll talk to you again here soon.
I appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
Wow, the Topher Grace. Who would have thunk? Speaking of Wisconsin, Andrew Schultz up in booth 200, a P2 finish, up 18 spots. Congrats on the podium as usual, but we can't start this interview off anywhere else other than talking about the ground that you found there underneath the yellow line. We usually see it on Sundays in the real life stuff. You decided to take a couple of trips down there. How did it feel? It certainly worked to a degree, but how did it feel?
Next to no grip. It was simply a just track position thing. If I could, I think it happened to Rob twice, and to where like I went down there and found track position. Obviously, was going to check up whoever was behind me, and it did. A little bit right before that caution, and someone actually in our room had keyed up and said, "Oh, how'd that work out?" And I was like, "Well, caution came out at the right time because Rob had not quite passed me yet, which gave me the outside." And I guess who knows whether that was a better option versus getting to start right behind him right behind Scott on that last caution. But yeah, it wasn't. It's not ideal, but when you're racing Justin and Scott, you gotta search for any option because they don't make mistakes. So and that's what I spent most of the race doing, was just searching any place I could find a little bit of extra speed, trying to run them down. So yeah, it might have worked, it might not have worked, but it was fun trying it.
Matt, what do you got?
Well, congrats on the P2. It was certainly fun to watch you. You had to work your way through the field early on as well. I know that with this configuration, maybe wider track, a little bit easier to work your way through, but didn't take a quali time. How was that first run to the stage break, trying to work through traffic there?
Well, we actually did take a qualifying run, but I buzzed the tires coming off of turn 4, and the old flag man gave me the blinking black flag for the qualifying scrutiny, so that lap didn't count, even though I crossed it before spinning out. So who knows where that lap would have wound up anyways. But yeah, it was just running the tires hard and just trying to get all the track position I could. I didn't even get any practice laps in, so I didn't really know what to expect. I in the garage put my brakes way too low to where I was having a lot of issues getting rear grip. I mean everyone was, but getting the power down and up off the corners just with putting a little bit of extra heat in the rear tires with how far back I had my brakes. So learned that on the first run, and then from there was just trying to manage and stay up towards the front and stay competitive and just seeing what we could get out of it.
Well, this is the largest margin of victory that we've had this season, and it's just over half a second. But that number does not do this race justice. I mean, you all up front the entire race were putting on a show. So congrats to you and your teammates on a successful run here tonight, and a fantastic one to watch at that. But in the meantime, anybody want to shout out or say hi to?
Appreciate it. Shout out to Scott for winning, and thanks for the paint. I'd rather him see it in victory lane next time. That way he can admire it there versus in his mirror the whole race. Shout out to the Turn 200 crew over there. I made a mention in the chat the other night about getting you in this race here, Tommy. We're going to pull for you the whole season, see if you can hop into one of them, get some in-race reporting. Shout out to the Bandit Motorsports teammates. Unfortunate to see Justin slide back a little bit. Would have been... I didn't want to see him win, but we're on the same Bandit team for team standings, so it's kind of a toss-up there. I like finishing in front of him, but would have helped a little bit more higher in the standings, and a good run for Carey too, finishing in the top 15 there. And shout out to the wife.
There you go. The concession I'm going to need if I ever turn a lap in Max V competition is a track temperature at least under 110 degrees. I would not have gone anywhere near this track tonight. But shout out to the ones who did, and shout out to you as well for putting yourself on the podium in spite of that. Congrats. We'll talk to you again here soon, but go party hard with a P2.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, not a chance in hell. I'm racing 134 degree track temperature. I appreciate his enthusiasm, though. Well, we're usually the jinxers here in the broadcast booth, so it's a pleasant surprise to see that maybe we're a bit of a good luck charm for your tonight's race winner, Scott Patton. Welcome back to the booth. It's not been that long, but it's been a minute since we've had you up here as a race winner, so congratulations.
Appreciate it. Last time I was talking to you guys during qualifying, I was going backwards while I was talking to you, so you made up for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you did not go backwards for very long here tonight. I mean, you were pretty well in the mix all night long. I mean, Matt's the strategy guy, so we'll let you two talk shop here about your decisions there. But regardless, those final couple of restarts were, I mean, especially the penultimate one was one of the wildest we've ever seen here on the channel. Schultz going all the way down to the inside there. It looked to me maybe preoccupied Justin a little bit, or definitely affected his line on the way out. And then the topside momentum carries you through to the lead. I mean, that was quite the sequence of events there.
Yeah, certainly. That's his best shot there for sure. Hats off to him for putting up a great battle there. But the biggest thing I think that I can concentrate on and do for myself is just to not let it get in the way of my exit, right? I just got to know that ultimately that's not the faster lane, and as long as he doesn't block my lane or throw me off of my momentum, if I got a clean run off the corner, we're going to prevail pretty much every time with that move. So biggest thing is not to let him get in your head like he was trying to do, and we were able to do that a couple times as he threw a little Hail Mary there last couple shots, and ultimately we came out ahead here.
Matt and I were talking a bit through the broadcast as well. You guys, the Bandit Boys, race awfully tight. You look like you have fun doing it. But there was a point here where I think it was you sending a little shot up to Justin. I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen the Bandit Boys ever feed a bumper to one another, at least intentionally anyway. You and Justin were racing pretty snug there.
Yeah, it's one of those, Justin, with being as talented as he is, every half an inch matters with him. So if you're going to beat him heads up, you got to take everything that he's going to be willing to give you. So challenging that restart, I think one of those restarts we got in there and were able to prevail on the outside, and I knew that that's pretty much the race. Even though there's whatever there was, 60, 70 laps left to the race, that was my shot to get ahead and hopefully stay ahead, because if he got ahead, as we saw, I really didn't have pace to keep up with him heads up. So that was just one of those of knowing that if I remember right, he kind of dove it in there on me in the corner, and I'm like, okay, if you're going to dive it in and clear me, then, you're going to go a little bumper. So just a little friendly reminder that I'm not giving in too easy to him, but good friendly teammate competition between us.
There you go. All right, Matt, have at it.
All right, well, first of all, congratulations. A bit of a redemption race for you for running out of fuel there at Atlanta. So good to see you get here on the top spot. But obviously the caution coming out right at the end of the race kind of ruined any of the strategy play. But you seemed to come in a lot earlier than I or Tommy expected. I know probably just trying to get the track position in front of Justin, of course, but seemed to be a pretty big swing to me when you were still pretty close to him, just on pure speed. I mean, what was the thought process there?
Yeah, kind of like I just talked about with Justin. Man, that whole first half of the run, I threw everything I had at him, and I didn't have enough to get to him. So even though a second and a half seems like not that much on the racetrack, I really had nothing to close that gap, and I figured my only shot was to kind of short pit. That's one of the only tools to my in my toolbox there to work to kind of jump him and put him on the offensive and gain that 7 to 8 second lead out of the pits, and kind of put him in a position where it forces him to potentially burn his tires more than he wants to, and question whether he has the pace to actually close that gap. So that's kind of the mental game that we play between ourselves. But yeah, it's just that close between the two of us that even though a second and a half is not that much real estate on the racetrack, it's an eternity when you're trying to close them at 100th of a second per lap, So yeah, it's good racing up there.
It was great racing. It was fantastic all night long. So indeed, always, as it always seems to turn out here, you and Justin and Andrew put on a great show up front, and it's great to get you back on top, Phil. It seems like things just sometimes do not go your way by hook or by crook, but we put all that behind us tonight, and you're standing on top, so we'll leave you to it here. Shout-outs, anybody you want to say hi to, the time is yours.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys, and I just want to say, from qualifying, as I mentioned, we're going to go through the first stage, figured out our strategy, then regroup, and then give them heck on the second half of the race there, and we figured out our strategy, and it's... I'm
just going to put my foot on the floor, and I'm not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag.
Classic. So it worked in our favor, and I just want to thank you guys for certainly putting on a awesome broadcast here at Turn 200. We're keeping purple on the truck for you guys. We got Luke the Nuke on there for no good reason other than that I randomly like darts. And that's about all I've got for this week. So looking forward to next week. Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. Second post-revival victory for Scott Patton here tonight at Phoenix. Congrats to you, and we'll talk to you again here soon.
Appreciate it, Tommy. Thanks, Matt.
Well, and it's an interesting turn of events. Like everybody mentioned Justin Michael tonight. He played a huge role in this race, does not get the result to come with it. I mean, we're just dogpiling on Justin to the point where one of these races, he is going to show up and stomp the field by about 40 to 50 seconds. I don't know if there will be anybody on the lead lap by the end of this race once Justin finally gets something to go his way this season. But regardless, Justin will be in the points hunt. The win is coming soon. But, in the meantime, the racing has just been electric this season. It was electric again tonight. Where does the buck stop?
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty wild that we get to call these races, looking back to the Bandit boys joining Truck 200, and then all of a sudden we found ourselves here with, one of the best leagues we've ever seen as far as competition goes. This is just pretty spectacular stuff. I feel like we say it every week. How are we going to top the last one? But I don't even think there's a topping any of them. They're all just spectacular in their own right for their own ways. And it was nothing short of spectacular again here tonight.
Absolutely. You don't need to keep topping if you've got nothing but A-tier and S-tier races. It's going to keep the folks coming back week in and week out. That's exactly what we hope to do here. Bristol, I think, is the next race. Yeah, that's definitely going to be one you're not going to want to miss. Chaos abundant next week. If you thought tonight was chaotic, we're going to take it to 11 next week. Not a lot going on between now and then either. Between now and then, Wednesday night is the next time that we are on your preferred streaming device. And it'll be the Daredevil series on Wednesday night at Willow Springs. We get to roll out the Lotus 79s at Big Willow on Wednesday night. And that'll be the next thing that we have before Max v CNC Home Designs Truck Series at Bristol on Thursday. So, yeah, Matt, who was hanging out with us here today?
Yeah, good little crowd. Thanks to everybody hanging out with us here tonight. Hunter Leach, Bandit Racing. I can't remember which one of the boys that is, but thank you guys for tuning in and for all the support. Flinky Roberts was in the chat. Love to have Flinky here with us. Michelle Kirk, James Lehman, unfortunately, had the pole, was not able to start the race. But looking forward to having James get up there again in the mix. Good Leaf Archives, Jacob Nagy, and Shelly Mall were all here with us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in, chatting with us. Always appreciated. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Absolutely. On your way out of the stream tonight, if you haven't already, hit subscribe. We're slowly climbing up to 1,000. Want you to be here for every step of the way. Got a lot of great racing action coming up, but it seems a bit sparse right now. Not such a bad thing from Matt and I's perspective, but great racing soon to come, and it'll be here again before you know it in 6 days' time with the Daredevil series at Willow Springs. And a week from now, we'll be back here with Max v CNC Home Designs Truck Series action from Bristol. But for everybody here with the series, for the GOAT, the one and only Mr. Matt Williamson, until we meet again, I'm Tommy Cook. We're saying so long from Phoenix Raceway, where Scott Patton stands tall atop the Max v CNC Home Designs Truck Series field. This has been a live broadcast on Turn 200. Be sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of when we go live next. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.